Sa administrasyon ni Governor Aimee, natamo ng Provincial Government ng Ilocos Norte ang ISO 9001-2008 certification. Ang ibig sabihin, napantayan nito ang pinakamataas na pamantayang pandaigdig pagdating sa pamamalakad ng lokal na pamahalaan.
Hello, and welcome to the ISO 9001 Checklist podcast. Our aim is to provide the best free ISO 9001 training resources on the web. In this episode, we're going to start at the basics and ask, what is ISO 9001? What ISO 9001 is not, the different sections in ISO 9001, the keys to success, how to gain approval, and important tips when using ISO 9001. So, what is ISO 9001? ISO 9001 contains all the requirements which an organisation must address within their quality management system, if they wish to be certified against the standard. The majority of these requirements would be identified by many as common sense topics, which they'd want to address in order to run their business well, e.g. sales, design, purchasing, training, calibration of test equipment, or control of records. ISO 9001 is written by a committee and is designed for use in any type of organisation. This inevitably means there are compromises in the wording of standard and some interpretation is often needed. There are 8 sections in ISO 9001. 1. Scope. 2. Reference. 3. Terms and definitions. 4. Quality management system. 5. Management responsibility. 6. Resource management. 7. Product realization. 8. Measurement, analysis and improvement. The ISO 9001 keys to success. In this section, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, which contains the requirements themselves and organisations wishing to certify against. ISO 9001 will need to demonstrate that they have addressed all these requirements. There are over 250 individual requirements in ISO 9001 that can be condensed into 5 key statements. The organisation shall 1. Determine the needs and expectations of customers. 2. Establish policies, objectives and a work environment necessary to motivate people to satisfy these needs. 3. Design, resource and manage a system of interrelated processes to implement the policy and attain the objectives. 4. Measure and analyse the effectiveness of each process in fulfilling its objectives. 5. Pursue the continual improvement of the system from an objective evaluation of its performance. ISO 9001-2008 registration gives the organisation the benefit of an objective, evaluated and enforced quality management system. It is a tangible expression of the firm's commitment to quality that is internationally understood and accepted. ISO 9001-2008 registration is carried out by certificating bodies, registrars, accredited organisation that review the organisation's quality manual and working practices to ensure they meet the standard. It is important when an organisation is certified to ISO 9001, it is clear which aspects of the organisation are covered by the certificate. This is addressed through the scopes of registration and must clearly identify what's included so as not to mislead. It is a requirement that all elements of ISO 9001 must be addressed by the organisation. However, there are specific circumstances under which certain requirements of the standard can be excluded. Yet compliance with ISO 9001 still can be claimed. Any excluded requirement does not affect the ability of the organisation to meet customer and regulation requirements. Any excluded requirement does not affect the ability of the organisation to provide confirming products or services. Any excluded requirement must only come from Section 7, Product Realization, of ISO 9001. An example may be customer property. Clearly, if a company never deals with such property, then the requirement should not be applicable. The company's quality manual must also clearly identify which specific requirements of ISO 9001 have been excluded and the justification for the exclusion. What ISO 9001 is not. ISO 9001 is not a product standard. It contains no product requirements. It's a series of generic requirements for a quality management system. Approval to ISO 9001 does not guarantee product or service quality. Customer-focused leadership, not standards, provide satisfied customers. Approval to ISO 9001 demonstrates that you meet the requirements of quality management. Well, that's all for the moment. Thank you for listening to the ISO 9001 Checklist podcast. We hope you found it helpful. Our aim is to provide the best free ISO 9001 training resources on the web. Do you have any questions about ISO 9001 you would like us to cover in future episodes? If so, we'd love to help. Please email us at podcast@iso-9001-checklist.co.uk. Or why not tweet us at ISO 9001 Checklist with all your questions. We'd love to hear from you.
Kung mangangarap ka rin lang, tuloy-tuloy mo na. Wind energy para sapat at murang elektrisidad. Libreng gamot at pagpapagamot. Sagana sa ani, sagana sa pagkain. Turismong nanganganak ng trabaho at hanap buhay. Asikasong binuhos ko dito sa Ilocos, asikasong itutuloy-tuloy natin sa buong bansa.